All right, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I have Nelson as well as Olamide standing by to bring us up to speed. Good morning, Olamide. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning, Veronica.
Right, good morning, Veronica. You're looking really sweet this morning, and Happy New Week, of course.
Thank you very much. You're looking good as well. And Nelson also.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a new week, yes. But
Indeed.
I believe that the papers are telling us some new things.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, man. There's a lot going on all the national dailies this morning.
Great.
I hope we'll be able to touch on all of it.
All right, take it away then.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. As usual, we'll begin with the Nation newspaper. Something about the deportation of some Nigerians from the United States on the order of President Donald Trump. 201 Nigerians head for home on Trump deportation order. You know, this is still a bit of a confusion for some persons, but from what I know, Olamide, if you have your documents and you are, you know, legally positioned in the United States, this does not affect you.
Well, aside from claims that perhaps some persons, even with papers, are not allowed to, you know, perhaps extend their stay and all of that, I think the president himself has the right to protect perhaps the unity of the nation in whatever way he seems to, you know, do and all of that. So 201 Nigerians, well, I will say it's not so much of a good news for Nigerians, but it's also welcome back home for them to, you know, restart.
I like the way you went with that. Welcome back home.
To start whatever, you know, they have left. Start from whatever they have left. So it's not entirely, you know, a bad one in that sense.
So we can tell to them, welcome back home.
Welcome back home.
But for every other person traveling to any part of the world, you need to have your documents complete and be legally admitted into any country of the world. Something else right here at the top nameplate of the Nation: Tambuwal under fire for attacking APC defectors. All right, a little bit on politics there. Remember, 2027 is in the offing. And a bit down the paper, Osibanjo, Ayoku, Adeboye, Obi, others at Adebanjo's house, honoring the legend Pa Adebanjo, who passed last week at the age of 96. And that will be it for the Nation this morning.
Well, let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Not support for Tinubu in 2027 unshakable. President's investment reforms in the region massive. Minister is quoted as saying, Shehu Sani, Yeri Unkei orders defectors swell APC support base. Let's stay back to fix our challenges. PDP begs their members. It's great that the party is looking, you know, into that. Tension in Osun State. Local government chairman vowed to return to councils today. I mean, over the weekend we saw a back and forth with a council chairman in Osun State, and we saw a very worrisome message by the governor about a plan to, you know, sabotage the peace of the state. But on the bottom of the Blueprint newspaper, a proposed truck ban, fuel tanker owners to lose 300 billion naira. That's the association saying that. But that's what we have on the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
The first news is the next paper this morning. Again, something on Osun State. Tension mounts in Osun over Yetola's alleged plot to destabilize state. I don't know exactly how that is, but Governor Adeleke to Tinubu call him to order. NLC warns workers, stay home for your safety. Okay. At the top nameplate right there, something on politics again. 2027, Abure pledges LP support for Igbo presidency. A lot of factions are bringing up their guns one way or the other. And something on regional conversation. Nigeria rejects AU plan to split political affairs, peace and security. All right. And at the bottom of the first news, we will recover 96 billion naira allegedly looted by Adeleke, PDP. This is according to Governor Okpebolo. Okay, and suspects dies in custody. Angry Ondo youth set ablaze a police station. This should never be the case, but we'll let it off there for the first news.
And now we take it up to Nigerian News Direct, which is also referring to the local government crisis in Osun State as Osun APC. The governor, Adeleke, fights dirty over appeal court ruling. I choose to alert the nation before my people are killed. Adeleke blows hot. Illegal public holiday will not stop our chairman from resuming, Osun APC says, as NLC direct workers to withdraw services in Osun local government. Well, if that is for their safety, I think, that is also important. But there is a report here on the top of Nigeria News Direct. Well, an allegation. A toothless watchdog or a silent accomplice in telecom exploitation. A report there is calling out the NCC as regards the recent tariff hike. Uncertainty in global oil prices threatened 2025 budget, CPPE wants. Nelson, there have been many concerns as to, the funding of the 2025 budget, as we still see a level of, deficit as regards funding. But that's a question for another day. That's what we have on Nigerian News Direct.
And the Nigerian Tribune is our next paper this morning. Again, the conversation of Osun State is making the rounds. But let's go to the top nameplate of the Nigerian Tribune. Something a little bit on the CBN policies, and the cost of obtaining cash remains high despite CBN's enforcement measures. The question I'm asking, Olamide, is has the CBN actually enforced that, laws that brought out? Because it's one thing to read them out, but it's another thing to truly enforce them. If somebody flouts that law, what is the measures taken by the CBN to ensure that they fall in line? So if this is still lingering and the CBN has warned about this, I'm sure there's another harder way to carry out that policy.
Well,
right?
Of course, there is a harder way to carry out the policy, but who exactly does that job? I think that is another question, Perhaps in this part of the world, we're used to just receiving orders. No one follows through to ensure that, it goes through except something they're really interested in. And so, this falls back on the CBN to ensure compliance. Exactly. Ensure compliance of the banks, ensure compliance of those who work within the banks, because sometimes they also say they are complicit in this situation.
They're very simple. Bring in the uniform agencies and let the policies be, adhered to. All right, something else right here. Matawale cautions Baba Shelawa, affirms Northern Nigeria's unwavering support for Tinubu, as Tinubu affirms El-Rufai's role in APC formation and election. But I'd like to take this. Amotekun foils robbery incident on Lagos-Shagamu Expressway. One suspect killed. That is a little bit on security, and that's where we leave it for the Nigerian Tribune.
And that takes us to the salient times. Panel indicts ex-governor Adeleke, local government chairman, PDP leaders for allegedly mismanaging 96 billion naira council fund. We've seen Algon calling some of these, local government, these councils to question. We've expected that they should be receiving their monies now, but of course they still have to account for what they have spent, what they have been spending before deciding to receive, and that's where the problem now is.
Exactly.
Account for what you have been spending, and now we see a lot of back and forth on that. And on the top of the salient times, call your nephew to order. He is plotting to destabilize Osun. Adeleke tells Tinubu. That's new for me.
For me, it's a private matter in that sense, between brothers, I would say. So they know what to do, and I'm sure they'll do it. And
a very, worrisome story here. Inspector found dead in Ogun Hotel. Police launches manhunt for fleeing suspects. That's a very sad one there. But we leave it to security agencies to, you know,
handle.
Yes. An angry youth set police station ablaze in Ondo State. Police commissioner condemns the attack, orders full-scale investigation. Well, these are the stories on the Salient Times this morning.
And the hope is the next paper. Alleged police brutality. The Hope is calling this a bloody protest rocks Ifon. Ondo community, 2 killed, police station raised. This shouldn't really be the case. I mean, even if that happened, should this be the right way to respond, you know, to that unfortunate incident? But that is the major story right here on The Hope, and that is where we'd leave it.
Right, and that takes us to the Platform Times. A worrisome story here. Man stabs brother to death over argument in Anambra State. He has been arrested. Nelson, like you said, there are different channels to, you know, pursue your grievances.
Exactly.
You have the court. If it is a family matter, you can, you know, explore possibly, you know, some form of agreement at a point. There are even civil courts which can address, you know, civil matters. So it's so sad that, you know, we see siblings, you know, killing themselves over just, you know, an argument. NAFDAC seals 3,000 shops in Lagos, seizes 12 truckloads of fake drugs. That's a good one from NAFDAC. We're struggling to survive. Small business owners cry out. And police inspector found dead, like I read earlier. Female companion disappears. We see the Platform Times going ahead to, you know, add the fact that there was a female companion in this situation. The federal government to probe a hoarding of relief materials for IDPs, and chaos in Ondo community as police allegedly torture a boy to death, 1 other killed in a protest. But that's what we have on the Platform Times this morning.
The Leadership is our next paper. Security experts demand probe of Boko Haram funding as ask FG, NAS to launch investigation, go after sponsors. Okay. But there's something here that is quite interesting too, actually. Nelfund students decry delays, resort to personal payments. I have a lot to say about that, but, you know, 3 months after ban on export, cooking gas prices remain high. I want to be able to afford gas, so but that's it for the Leadership this morning.
And next will be Daily Independent. 2025 budget, 28.1 trillion naira fiscal deficit, debt servicing burden made 12 performance. There is a speculation there. And PDP dismisses allegation of forgery of primary election guidelines. Fundraising, a no-go security trust fund rakes in 3 billion naira. And APC sweeps Katsina local government polls. There is another story on the top of Daily Independent. Nigeria rejects plan to split AU political affairs, peace security department. Well, Sarap has given the CBN 48 hours to withdraw ATM fee hike. Let's see what the response to that will be. But that's what we have on Daily Independent this morning.
And this Nigeria is our next paper this morning. There's something here a little bit for the concerns of everyone. Hard times suffocate more small businesses. Many fold up, others gasp for breath. Bank customers decry new ATM charges, say it'll push citizens to more pains. And to the story, Serap is giving the CBN that hour to ensure that that is fixed. Small businesses are the mainstay of the economy of any nation, and so we must do all we can to give them room to breathe so that our economy will not collapse. And something right there at the top, 2025 budget, 14 trillion naira earmarked for debt servicing, not healthy for economic growth. I couldn't agree less. 14 trillion just to pay debts. And there's a picture story there of the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and some children. I just admire the fact that he's, with these children. But according to reports right there, the children belong to the chairman of Kwali Area Council, Danladi Chia. This is lovely to see. For me, it portrays the FCT minister in a very, fatherly way.
Right. Good to use that word, fatherly way.
Yeah, I like
friendly
that.
way, actually.
As opposed to the basbo sometimes that we see of him. And something right here, children account for 7.2% of cancer cases in Nigeria. Stakeholders call for free treatment for childhood cancer. This would be really sad to see a child, Olamide, have cancer. What kinds do they have?
Well, I really cannot say. At this point, we see a rise in the number of the figures of cases, not just in children, but it's so sad that we have about 7.2% of, children having that. But this is now a call to action for our health system and also those who, are in charge of, consumer protection, what we consume.
Exactly, exactly, because sometimes it's from food.
Right. Doctors have said sometimes what we consume also, filters in, and in the long run, tends to form some things in our body. And we see a high level in production of, fake products, fake drinks, fake, even baby foods and all of that. You saw NAFDAC sealing different factories. And so this shows that so many persons are trying to take advantage of the system, trying to take advantage of the fact that perhaps there is no level of, follow-up to ensure that, when you produce, whatever you produce is up to the standard, is up to, quality, ensures that you get, your money's worth, and rather than, going behind the curtains. And
it is also advised several times that, especially for babies and for growing children, it's best to go with natural product as opposed to canned, and artificial, as it were, food. For instance, natural juice, squeeze an orange, or banana or something, better than buying some bottled plastic something,
Well, at this time where we see a lot of, working mothers who have to just pack what they can. They will not have time to do that.
But that'll be it for this Nigeria this morning.
Which takes us to the Guardian newspapers. Despite 7.2 trillion naira subsidies, the power sector inefficiencies took a toll on customers. There is a picture story there, says, which is giving us a figure about electricity subsidy from 2015 to 2025. 7.2 trillion naira in subsidies over 11 years. And, the question is that if we have this level of subsidy, why does the consumer still have to pay more? Are the consumers getting the benefit of, this subsidy? And a story here which says 2027, Tinubu gets more northern backing as Labour Party spars over Igbo presidency. But that's what we have on the Guardian newspaper.
And the Punch is our next paper this morning. Federal government deploys security agents as NLC insists on protest. But there's a picture story or picture stories right here on the Punch. We see some Nigerians, at the commendation service of Pa Debanjo. This is lovely to see, different sectors of the society coming to celebrate a legend who has gone on to be with the Lord. But that's how we'll let it off for the Punch this morning.
And the next will be Abuja Inquirer. How IDPs relief materials were found in Abuja classrooms. Nationwide audit has been ordered. And 3 weeks on APC, 3 weeks on rather, APC mute on director's abduction. And in a response to what we said earlier, Nelson, FCTA to provide free cancer prevention care for girls and others. But that's it on the Inquirer this morning.
And the national economy. Artificial intelligence, over 20 million job displacements loom in Nigeria's agri and port sectors. The government needs to swing into action to ensure that that is not the case. But that is the major story on the national economy, and that's where we'd leave it.
And to the nature news, study links break dust to severe lung toxicity. And Lagos is expected to host the National Renewable Energy Legislative Summit in May. We look forward to that. But that's what we have on the nature news. And
quite quickly, before we let it off this morning, the sporting life. Man United PSG make verbal offers for Osimhen. Osimhen seems like the hottest cake this is. I mean, every club side wants the young man to be with them.
I thought it was Boniface at the point.
Well, Nigerian close to signing with renowned sports management company. I wish we'd had the time to take quite a number of stories right there on the sporting life, but that is where we'd let it off for the newspaper review segment. Over now to Veronica as we continue with the rest of the program. Veronica, we're seeing quite a number of persons, celebrate the life and times of Pa Adebanjo. For me, it's a beautiful thing to see, recognizing his personal labor to strengthen and sustain democracy in this country. Absolutely, and this is why we must recognize their efforts while they're alive before they pass on. But it is good that his legacy lives on and that a lot of persons recognize his effort, his contribution, especially to Yoruba land and Nigeria at large. But Ibrahim Shita is here now. I'm sure he has his own perspective to the life and times of Ayo Adebanjo.
Absolutely. Good to see you guys. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning, Olamide.
Yes, it actually reminds me of sometime in 2015 when I had an interview with him in his living room at Ijebu-Ode. Had a conversation with him. Very, astute man, clever, his sound is, it's just everything, all shades of, clamoring for the development of the Southwest, not just Southwest, but Nigeria as a whole.
Absolutely.
May God rest his soul, and condolences to his family.
Absolutely. 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 We'll have to leave the conversation here now.